times ever seen that happen, very rare. We have an awesome panel up here, and we'll jump into questions in a second. At the far end, we have a good friend of mine and someone I really hate, Kane Hodder. It is me, yes. He beat me earlier, so I'm not happy. And then we have from part 5, Morga. Then we have the best dressed person at any convention always, Ted White from part 4. And then the lovely Adrienne Kane. And the man who is responsible for all of this and the reason why this day is famous, Cunningham. So we will jump into questions right away, so think about your questions and hands up, and I will pick, and we will go from there. All right, thank you, good panel. Have a good day, everybody. All right, yes.
I'll be first. First of all, it was such a pleasure to meet all of you, and we're glad we finally got this opportunity. I love the behind-the-scenes stories about the making of these films. Do any of you have any kind of behind-the-scenes, something that sticks out in your mind, like maybe a practical joke or any kind of unplanned mishap that just kind of, is like your favorite story to tell?
Thank you. Who wants to take that?
That's kind of great stories.
We were filming down by the lake, and I was in full makeup, and it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and we had a break, and what we call the honey wagon, the dressing rooms, and it was parked up on the highway, and I was going up to my dressing room, and like I said, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and as I was walking up, a car pulled up, and had 2 guys in it. I couldn't tell because of the dark. And as I went around the front of the car, I got by the driver's side window, and the guy rolled the window down, and it was 2 African Americans. He said, "Hey bro, what's going on?" And I leaned down, he said, "Jesus Christ!" There are times when you do scare people unintentionally. But that's my story.
Anyone else on the panel?
Beg your pardon?
Anyone else on the panel wants anything?
Of course. I have a similar story from part 7. It's actually in the book. My book came out, Mike wrote it, called Unmasked. Came out a couple years ago. And there's a story in there from part 7 where turns the mic off. Test. And I was going back to the honey wagon also from the lake. But I went through the woods, and somebody, again, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and somebody was coming on the trail towards the set as I was going back to base camp. And he wasn't someone I recognized, so I just stopped on the trail, and he asked me the fucking most ridiculous question I can imagine. He said, "I have the full makeup on like Ted did with the mask," and he says, "Excuse me, are you with the movie?" And so I said, okay, this guy definitely needs to be fucked with. So I did the head cock that I did not come up with originally, but stared at him, and then I lunged at him, and he just took off. The next day, John Beekler, who was directing the movie, said, "You know, that local cop never showed up on the set last night." I have no idea.
Please refrain from swearing, Kane, during this. It's a family.
I don't have anything scary, but I did have something kind of funny, and it's not behind the scenes, but behind the mask. I was standing down below doing the scene in 5 where I'm supposed to be the dream sequence, and looking down from the window, you see me standing there as the real Jason with the mask that has the red marks in it. And so I step off of the tree, and I'm standing there staring, and I'm supposed to be really menacing. And below the window where they're shooting is a stunt coordinator. This is Dick, who has been in a lot of different movies, and he's the one who hired me for this film. And he's down below, and he decides that he's going to mess with of gyrations and doing all kinds of gestures and making me laugh. So behind that mask, I'm looking up, and if it's scary, that's great, because I was just laughing the whole time watching him try to make me laugh. And I knew if I just held still, it was okay.
Wait, one second.
Sorry, I know you guys are sick of me, but I did a talk show called Arsenio Hall Show. I don't know if you ever seen that on YouTube or anything, but I was in full costume. I was a guest on the Arsenio Hall Show. He brought me out, and it just reminded me, because what Tom said, Arsenio didn't tell me what he was going to ask me, and I was supposed to remain in character. So obviously I'm not going to speak. And he asked me all these questions, and he was quite funny about it. And I was laughing my ass off the whole time, but like he said, if you don't move like that, you don't look like you're laughing. But my face was laughing. And he told me at the beginning, he said, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I'm really quite scared of you when you're in that costume. So please don't do anything mean to me. I said, oh, well, I guess I'll fuck with you too then. At the end of it, when I go to shake his hand, I pulled him towards me, and he just about shit himself. So.
Boy, that was cool.
We were just about in the scene where I throw the girl off the porch, and we'd hired a stunt girl to come in, and it's night, and she was going to work later on. And I saw the car, the studio car, pull up, and it's parked about 100 yards from where we're shooting. And I went down the road, it was a dirt road, and I had the mask on and everything, and I had the machete. And I got in the weeds, and as she started walking up, I waited until she got just about a foot ahead of me, and I jumped up and got her from behind and slammed her to the ground, and she saw the machete. She said, no, I'm a stunt girl, I'm a stunt girl. I said, I don't give a damn, I'm going to kill you. She was screaming so loud, it disrupted the company, and the first assistant came up and he said, what's going on? I said, wait a minute, I got to kill this girl. And he said, Ted, that's one of the stunt girls. She said, is this Ted White? I said, yes. Get off of me, you big idiot.
Well, we didn't have a honey wagon. And as a matter of fact, we didn't have a whole lot. But we had Sean. And Sean totally made everything really wonderful for me and for the rest of the crew and the actors. We just loved being there because all of us truly knew it was something special, I think. All right, roll your eyes now. But truly...
It's been so long. She's forgot.
You know what? I don't. I remember it like it was... I was cold. I was freezing my butt off when we actually shot that last scene. And I've told this story before, but I don't know if I've told it with you here, so you can correct me. All right, so when Sean had the idea of the slow motion thingy at the end of the movie, but the first time we did it with one camera. And it was warm and it was glorious and it was beautiful out. It was Blairstown, New Jersey on the Delaware Water Gap. Labor Day weekend, kind of like right after that. And when you looked at the dailies, Sean was very sweet, he let me look at the dailies, and he said, no, not quite what I'm thinking of. We have to save up money for 2 cameras. Am I right?
Yeah.
Let's see, more nice. So that meant time to get more money, which meant it got colder. And the next time we tried it, and mind you, as you all know, independent movie, no money, so I think I had 2 pairs of jeans all together, you know, in terms of wardrobe. So if I ruined one, I only had another one to get wet or, you know, ruined. So we did it with 2 cameras, not quite right, correct?
Yeah, there was other. I do remember this part. But I'll say. Yeah. But I was. My son was about 10 years old, and said, "Okay, you can play the kid who comes out of the lake in all this makeup." And his mother heard what I had in mind. That was it. He will not go in the middle of this lake in the middle of the winter. What are you, guys? September, it's going to be fun. No, and that was it. And to this day, he always kids about that. he could have been the first Jason, but his mother wouldn't let him. And he's, and so actually we wound up calling a friend from a little kid that had been in a couple of other movies. Anyway, I was thinking that it was so hard, technically, because we had Adrienne in this beautiful setting, and the idea was that the kid, the monster, is supposed to come out from the lake. I said, good, well, how hard could that be? Well, first of all, the makeup had to work, and secondly, we didn't have any underwater microphones, we didn't have anything. It's like, get underwater, hold your breath as long as you can, and then we hope, and we hope that this is going to work out. And
with one change of clothing for me if it didn't.
right, well, and the other thing was that his makeup, he had to put on the makeup, and it was kind of a cool makeup, but you can't take a makeup like that and leave it underwater and expect the whole thing to work. And then there is no take two. I mean, really what it comes down to is there isn't a take two. So we said, geez, I hope this works, and it's a stupid idea anyway, so maybe we won't use it. But let's try it. And so it went the first time, and as Adrienne said, it was really nice. And we came close when we said, geez, you're going to have to figure out some way to cue Ari, who was the kid that was underneath the boat, and get the canoe far enough offshore so that it has some kind of plausibility. It can't be right next to the shoreline. And we'll try it again. I don't know if it was next week. It might have been the following week. And it had, some of those shots, you see that the leaves have really turned, and it's getting later and later in the fall. And second time was close. And then now we have to start telling people like Ari and Adrienne, we're going to do it one more time. Are you busy in 2 weeks or when? I don't remember how far apart it was, but it was. No, it was well into October, and oh my goodness, it was cold. And we were very fortunate that we finally got the footage, and I can't remember what we used to cue Ari, but I think finally we had it was knocking on the canoe, and I know that we tried some string on his leg. I just pulled a string when we wanted him to move. He was like 12 years old. I mean, I can't imagine the number of child labor laws that we were breaking.
With no wetsuit, neither of us had wetsuits or anything. As you all know, we all did our own stunts. It was just down and dirty, and looking back, it was so much fun. But oh boy,
you're talking about honey wagons,
yeah, seriously,
and company cars. And what if we had cabins in the woods?
Seriously.
Oh gosh. Anyway.
Sean, speaking of that final scene, I'm right here, sorry, I was tired. Speaking of that final scene, Savini still claims that was his idea. What is your take on that?
Oh, it was absolutely Tom's. Tom's idea, the big idea that he had, was he wanted to figure out if we couldn't find a way to cut somebody's head off on screen. And we started with that as the goal. It's like, okay, there's going to be a big fight at the end. That we knew was going to happen. But how are we going to do that? And so Steve Miner, who was